Righto, punters, part 2, and DK just reminded me, I have to mention anyone that hasn't listened. Last week, the great Jupster, Anthony Jupp, at the picnics. He was the guest on the Business of Betting podcast.
He was, the Juppy, yes.
And, geez, he handled it beautifully, Juppy, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a great story, you know, what he did his way through with his beautiful supportive wife and everything when they went to the UK and came back. And I worked with Juppy. That's where I first met Juppy, when he arrived at Sportspec after he got back from the UK. And, yeah, he's got a great story, Juppy, and very, you know, specialised, what I try and do, and they just specialise in the little stuff. It's, you know, as I said, $3 in a Terang Maidens, $3 in Sandown on a Wednesday. It's the same dividend.
Yep.
You know, it's
totally.
He's
such an interesting character, Juppy, because he the stuff he knows intimately, no one's got a better handle on it, but he knows something about everything. Yeah. He knows people and everything. Yeah. He's just a great connector.
Great networker. Yeah. Well, not networker, but yeah, he's very well liked in the industry, of course. He's such a great fella.
Just by the force of his personality,
yeah,
which is so pleasant.
Yeah, it's great. Just happy. He's always good to be around. You know, it's always just good fun to be around, and yeah, big personality and everything. So yeah,
champion Blake.
But yeah, if you haven't go and listen to that, that was because the last few weeks we've had a great podcast. Yourself, Stewie Davidson, and a few others. Richie Irvine. So there was some really good racing stuff there, and it was just nice to. I mean, Juppy's got a great story, but just seeing his more sports betting and things, which is was nice for just something different to listen to, and he speaks well, Juppy. It's good. Yeah. Again, Jake, he's doing a great job in that business of betting, isn't he?
It's getting momentum.
What's that? 44 episodes now or something, and geez, yeah, terrific.
And I think that everyone's now tuned into it and awake to it, and realise that it can be a real advantage for all of us to. So everyone's having.
Funny you should say that, because like when you started out, and sort of we were all, and same thing with me, and I know plenty of others were just soaked up when the Punter show was going, and Mark was there. We're just soaking up of what we could learn from Mark. Well, that was it, you know. Put that on every week. What were Mark's pearls? Pick up all the subtleties of when he'd say things about distances and all different things like that. And now it's more so. Hopefully, people still watch this and pick up and watch Racing Rant, but there's a lot more juicier and 1 hour. You know, of listening to these good people, and lots of things to be benefited, and to help improve your punting and improve your mental capacities and things like that. So it's all there if you want to listen.
Absolutely. I mean, I really enjoyed doing it with Jake, because like you said, you can take an hour, so you can really take your time with your answers, and so I really enjoyed doing it, and I think it's there's a lot of value there for punters. So I had an email, DK, and I've had a lot of emails, one thing or another, about staking, and people have looked at my results, and even the ones that sit and asked what sort of size bank I use, right? So basically, for calculation purposes, I always use a 1,000-unit bank. Okay, now the reason I do that, now the biggest drawdown I've had in 10 years of betting is 250 units, right? So I only keep liquid in the betting accounts about 200 units, right? I don't keep anything like 1,000 units in the bank, right? But if I have to top it up, I have to top it up. But the reason I use a 1,000-unit bank as opposed to 100, which seems to be a bit of something that everyone's assuming in a lot of the Twitter type conversations, and that's Rob asked me about the genesis of the 100.
And there's plenty of discussion about units, hashtag units, and things like that. So it's good to.
So in my case, I never get over more than 2% of my bank, my calculation bank anyway, on a race, which would be 20 units, right? But I'm more typically somewhere between 6 and 12 units, depending on how much I like the race. But I think the where this 100-unit bank idea has come from is from the Champion Bet stable. I think that's what they use for all their products, and I think that's where it sort of come from. And doing the Troll Spy, and here's another recent podcast.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
So they, in his new group, Winning Edge or whatever they're called, they use 100-unit banks. Okay. So anyway, so I use 1,000. People really ask me, and they're worried about, you know, how much money does that mean? You could use 500, but all it would do was increase the volatility, and it means that the smaller your bank size and the more you're committing to a race, if you are altering your dollars per unit in line with the fluctuations in your bank, that will increase, and it will increase volatility. And I think there's an issue with that, so you've got to be careful of that side of things. And then if you're using a 100-unit bank, you'll get down to decimal points a lot. So
yes, that's 0.25 of the unit and all this business.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, 1.25
and I think for people trying to keep it simple and just starting out, I think what you should do is mostly think about what's my total in commitment to this race in dollars, and what's my collect if horse A, B, or C wins.
Yeah, that's how I do mine. That's how I do it. Yeah. So I'm betting to get back, or what, and how much am I going to win on the race? How much am I going to win on those horses?
Yeah.
Get back, and how much am I going to win on the race if A, B, or C wins?
So I've got a figure in my head. Like if there's a horse that's a really good overlay, like say you've marked it $3 and it's $5, and you're really confident it's going to be well backed, and it's just everything's right. I'll be trying to back that to win a certain amount of to collect. I have a set figure. Right now, the run-of-the-mill averages races are about a third of that, and the ones that are sort of half like are in the middle of that. So sort of I have 3 levels, and those ones where I'm trying to get the max, they seem to come up about once a month.
Yeah, that's it. Correct. That's it. I'm exactly the same thing. When I'm like shorties, I don't want to get stressed out and have big bets on shorties because you feel the maximum pain, and as I said, they can put you in a mentally in a reverse. So I'm sort of backing them to win an amount to like win wages sort of thing. As I say, if they win, you just win another bet, or you win. Then I've got the level 2 ones, which is they're probably the bread and butter. I'm generally backing them to win those 80% of the time, and then the good ones, level 3, go for the jugular sort of thing. They said they come up once or twice a month if you're lucky.
So there it is, punters. DK and I have different approaches, different ways to go about things, but we end up with the same sort of betting approach in the end. In the end. So there it is. So hope that answers all the questions that Rob asked. So Brian emailed in. One part of his email was about D Lane and his ride on Kentucky Fly. So we've already discussed that in part 1. Another thing that Brian, he sends a great email in every week.
Oh. Yeah, well, you forwarded it to me, so I asked to have a read because you thought I'd enjoy it, and he puts a bit of work into it.
He sure does. He's got a great knowledge of racing.
So many people passionate about racing out there,
And like I'm pleased to say that I think when Brian first found me, he was a little bit stale in racing and just betting in general, and I've helped him get his passion back for racing. He's said that to me a few times, which is fantastic. That's what we want.
What we want, yeah. That's one of the reasons we do the show, and to get the passion out of people, yeah, something to be passionate about.
So in talking about riding cute, he used an example of a famous race in the UK. It was an English derby, I'm not sure when, in the 80s or whatever, and the favourite was like a dominant miler, 2,000 metre horse or whatever, stepping up first time to the 2400 El Gran Senor.
Yeah,
right? And
remember him.
Robert Sangster owned, and for any punters that haven't read anything about Robert Sangster and his duel with the Sheiks, it's a really good read. I've read Robert Sangster's autobiography, and it's fascinating, and it ends up with them getting in a bidding duel over a particularly well-bred horse in Kentucky, a yearling, and they bid up to, I think it was over 10 million, it was either 10 or 11 million, and the horse ended up completely legless and sterile.
Because they just didn't want to wilt. None of them wanted to wilt.
And the Sheiks won at the end.
The Sheiks won at the end and got the dud.
Snaffy Dancer it was called, and they come to a truce after that because it was just that was the end of it. But anyway, this El Gran Senor was ridden by Pat Avery, quite cute. The leader in the race, as Brian points out in the story, happened to be at Tallac.
There you go.
Here, winning a cup for the Hayes camp, and so he sort of cantered up to the leader, and then the stayer started to put some pressure on him. Looked like he had the race won, but then when he got to his distance limit, which was just the 2,000 metre mark, horse started to struggle, and in the end, the more natural stayer in the race got him by a very narrow margin, and it's, as Brian says, it's known as the $20 million head, because that's how much difference it made to that horse's value and things. So anyway, really, it's good. I'm glad Brian emailed that into me about that, because that whole story about the Sheiks and Robert Sangster, who his family, his father had started the soccer pools in England, so that's where all their wealth come from. And he used all of that money to buy yearlings.
Racing. Yeah, I mean, that's it, and that's the thing. It's was he 30? How old was the owner of the Nasaluta, or whatever? Is he 30 years old? Paid, but he could spend. He paid 1.7 obviously for that horse and got something back, which is great. But there's when people say with Lloyd Williams winning all the cups and all the other multi-spending, well, they could spend their money on something else, but they decide they want to spend it on our sport, and generally they're doing it for the love of it. Not doing it for financial return. Like you can't spend it on property development or yachting or winning an America's Cup or something, but they choose to spend on racing, and it's another good aspect of our sport.
Absolutely, it says a lot about racing. It does. These people are they're willing to put a lot of money. In it. I mean, you'd love to see the maths of what Sheikh Mohammed's actual operation, how much out of it actually costs him every year.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
Yeah. So there you go.
What else have we got here, DK? I think we might have covered everything. Anyway, the week ahead, so we've got a good meeting at Sandown on Wednesday. Unfortunately, it's on the hillside track. My problem with the hillside track is I don't like the distances as much as the lakeside. So on the hillside, they have the 1,000-metre races. They tend to have, the 1800s and stuff. Whereas
Leicester's in, I see. Someone sent me a message.
Yeah.
Leicester's in. Did you have a look?
No, I didn't. I just saw it was in.
Just saw it was in. Okay.
It's probably got to get his rating up, I'd say.
Right. Yeah, and he'd like the similar with that Yogi horse. I think Yendall said he got a bit lost a little bit the other day when he got to the front. So
that's what I wanted to talk about. Here we were last week, DK, talking about this whole subject. Leicester. Spring choice was that made them produce city winners. There they are. Little about 7 days later, up 300 metres in distance. Producers are listed $120,000.
My video comment was kick more ground off the other day because it was strong, really strong late. Then you said the margins weren't big, but it was strong. So I said kick more ground and didn't know I was going to back up and backed.
Yeah,
and backed
very well.
Robots 9-8 to 1 the robots.
Yeah,
so
and I tried, looked and tried, thought nah, because I couldn't get away from the Leicester form. Especially after Think Blue had won Friday night.
Yeah.
But then when I look at it in the hindsight, Silverhawks, Mick Price getting late in its prep.
Getting late in the prep. Yep.
On and
Barbecue. He ran really well.
Barbecue, but he's just a bit of a. He's a bit of a floater, you know what I mean? He hasn't got a killer punch.
The horse with him just got a beautiful run, didn't he? Winksy just at midfield and just hardly went round a horse and just travelled through. And it's no surprise. I mean, but that's I had a heap on it at Geelong and I made, and it still made it one, but it wasn't pretty. Yeah. It's like, and then it comes out the next week and wins the bloody Mornington Guineas. Like, welcome to my life, you know.
I think we can back a few horses that will be on at Geelong anyway.
Yeah. I went and put that rating up again. I pushed it, and then because I said this is a good. I just knew it was a good race, even the raw time doesn't really say so. And I went and pushed it up, prepped it up again.
90, 93.
Yeah.
Anyway, DK, now I've nearly forgotten.
What?
Doing your bit for charity. Well done, sir.
Oh, yeah, Bramos. Yeah, so the buy Bale.
Which last week when I mentioned on the show, I spelled it wrong.
All right.
Buyaabale, buy a Bale, to help the farmers out there up in Queensland.
So that's right, yeah. So, so my bet was Bramos. So Meach third up, going forward. We just wanted to get a win for him after the criminal, what happened at the top of the range the week before. And I think a couple of the others, Shane Curlio or someone else backed the winner as well. And Ladbrokes are doubling their top of the so they won 900 or something, which is, so 900 jumped in the coffers. So it was nice to do me a bit, mate, for charity.
You bet. Awesome. It was great to see that.
Yesterday I was sitting there having a cup of coffee in the park, and this lady was sitting next to me, and she got up more past me, and the credit card just fell out of her pocket, straight in front of me, and she might have been a tourist or something. Off she took, so I grabbed it, chased after her, and she was so thankful, like as you would be. She goes, "There would have been a problem if I lost that," So it's just a bit of karma, mate.
Karma's
on side, mate. Yeah, helping people out. Let's hope to back a few winners this week.
It's got to work that way, doesn't it?
Come on, gods, please.
There you go.
Anyway, Easter's coming up, so
back to Caulfield this Saturday, and then. Public holiday metro meeting at Sandown on Monday.
Lovely.
Oh, beautiful.
Radio.
I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah, no, I think I've got nice. I've got Warwick, Nabil and Kerrang, and that'll do me for Saturday. That'll be nice.
Plenty there to work with
for me.
There we go, punters. Hope you enjoyed all that, and we'll be back. We won't be back next week.
No.
And coming up, probably the week after, I think it is. Howard Walter's going to come.
Howard Walter, one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters. Don't mention them. He can't help himself every day. He's got to have a go at Trump every day. Anyway,
I saw yesterday he's not much of a fan of the Grand Prix either. So
he's a funny man, Howard Walters, the mayor of the Queensland Forum.
Yeah, there it is.
Been a legend of the form game for a long time. So
beautiful. Yeah. Cheers, punters. Good stuff.